Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Pet Podcast today. I'm your host, Dr. Roberta Westbrook, and thank you for joining us here at the Campus for All Animals, the Houston SPCA. So, as you guys are coming down to our campus to look at the dogs and cats and puppies and kittens that you would like to join your family, you may be wondering what type of breed is appropriate for my family. And then you may be wondering, I want to know what type of breed I'm adopting because what if they have certain health issues or behavioral issues that are just inherent in the breed that you want to know about? And I'm here today to help you sort through what breeds of dogs have the most common ailments and health issues and behavioral issues so you can be a more well-informed adopter. And so with that, please take some time to come on down to our adoption center this weekend. Bring your family and friends. There's no appointment necessary, and visit with our animals and see if there's one that might fit for you and your family. And I would like to introduce you to a wonderful pet looking for his forever home. This is Zuko. Zuko is very unique here. We adore Zuko. What a great dog he is. Zuko's been with us, and he's just been enjoying his time, bonding with the people here, learning tricks, and he is ready to go to his forever home. He's a wonderful dog. He's going to make someone a wonderful pet. So come on down again, and as you are thinking about coming down to our shelter, start thinking about questions that you might have about your own pets at home. If you have a purebred dog or cat, or maybe a mixed breed, and you're trying to figure out what sort of health issues might be common in that particular breed, put those in our chat and I'll be happy to answer those. So we can start with something easy. What can you do if you want to know what breed of dog you have? If you don't know, and maybe you have a mixed breed of dog, certainly there are several DNA test kits on the market these days that you can purchase and that you can test your pet. Usually it requires just a swab in the mouth of your pet, and you can send that test sample in, and you can get DNA test results that can tell you what breeds are most dominant in your pet. So we have an example here, one brand, although there's many brands out there, one brand is Embark, and you can test your pet at home and see what breed him or her is, and then we can talk about some of the health issues that come with those particular breeds. So are there any questions out there for pet breeds and disease?
Yes. Are mutts healthier than purebreds?
What a great question. We always get that question, right? Are mixed breeds and mutts would be just a dog that has multiple different breeds in one. Are they healthier than a purebred dog? And we do kind of say that somewhat jokingly because when you have a mix of genetics from lots of different breeds, oftentimes you can wind up with an overall healthier dog because there's not one strong gene pool that's kind of dominant that's maybe linked to a particular health issue. So we do like to say in the veterinary field that the mutts and the mixed breed dogs are healthier, but certainly there are some very, very healthy purebred dogs out there. We can talk about those as well.
Question came in is, how can I help my pug breathe better? And is it common for all pugs to have that issue?
If you have what is called a brachycephalic dog, a brachycephalic dog is one that has a very short, squished in face. So those would be dogs like pugs and bulldogs and Pekingese. And your question is about their breathing. And it's very common for these dogs to have mild to sometimes severe breathing issues. And that's because they have a system of problems that can happen. Sometimes these dogs have what we call elongated soft palates. The roof of your mouth has a little soft part at the back. And sometimes that piece of soft tissue is elongated and it actually goes so far back in the throat that it can interrupt airflow. And that's what causes the noisy breathing that you might hear in pugs and bulldogs, where they sound like they're snoring even when they're awake. They can also have what we call stenotic nares. Stenotic nares are where their nose is really, really narrow and they can't get airflow through there as well. Both of those problems can actually be fixed with pretty minor surgical procedures. So you can contact your family veterinarian to see if this is something that's necessary for your pet. And another thing that brachycephalic dogs get is something that is called a hypoplastic trachea. What that means is their windpipe sometimes is underdeveloped and narrow, and that can also inhibit breathing as well. So that kind of category of dogs certainly can have more respiratory problems than others, but please see your veterinarian, because in many of those breeds, it's not a problem at all, and they go on to live long, healthy lives without having to have any surgery at all.
Great. Next question is, my Sharpie always has itchy skin. Is that normal?
Itchy skin for Shar-Peis. Yes, that is fairly normal. That is a breed of dog that is commonly plagued with allergies. So there's a couple things about Shar-Peis that make them prone. One, their genetics, but two, they have a lot of skin folds on their body and face, and the skin folds can trap moisture and debris, and bacteria loves to grow in those skin folds. And so sometimes they wind up being itchy because they have bacterial infections that grow, or yeast infections that grow in the skin folds on the face and the body, and even in the ears, because their ears are kind of tight and flopped down as well. And so it's not only Shar-Peis, though, that can have itchy skin related to allergies, but other breeds of dogs can, particularly West Highland White Terriers and other breeds of dogs that have white coats, Cocker Spaniels, Shih Tzus, Lhasa Apsos. A lot of these dogs are very prone to skin allergies. And it's not only the breed, but it could also be the environment that you live in. So oftentimes in the South, sometimes the weather can increase allergic skin signs in our pets.
My large dog is getting older in age. Could it be, arthritis that is causing less mobility, or could it be a more serious condition?
Yes, as large dogs get older, they certainly are more prone to diseases like arthritis than we typically see in smaller breed dogs. And larger breed dogs tend to have more weight on their hips. They are more prone to diseases like hip dysplasia as they grow. And so certainly you can see in large breed dogs that they have a stiffer gait. They may have trouble getting up. And that is related to arthritis in the hips oftentimes. We don't see that as often in our small breed dogs, but large breed dogs like German Shepherds, Labrador Retrievers, Golden Retrievers, these would be dogs that commonly have arthritic problems.
So since my German Shepherd loves going on hikes, should I stop taking her as to not cause certain issues in the future?
So if you have a large breed dog like a German Shepherd who loves to go on hikes, but you're concerned that you could be contributing to joint issues, I would say not to worry about it. I think you can still take your dog on long hikes. Things to be aware of. If you're already noticing that your dog is having trouble keeping up with you, getting tired, limping on the hike, or not wanting to go very far, those might be clues that the hike might be too much. But exercise is good for our pets. It keeps them lean, and a lean dog is less likely to have joint problems than an overweight dog. So the hikes overall are probably healthy for your pet. But if you're noticing that there's pain or that your pet is getting exhausted on those hikes, please talk to your veterinarian so they can do a thorough exam and make sure there's not already an issue going on.
My Golden Retriever passed away from cancer. Is that common in that breed, or should I, adopt another one?
Yes, cancer is common in certain breeds. Golden Retrievers, Boxers, for example, are prone to certain cancers. And so it's not rare in those breeds. I would say as your pet becomes older, make sure that you're visiting your veterinarian at least once a year so that they can make sure that your pet is staying healthy. But there are certainly treatment options for some of the cancers, and that might include surgery. Sometimes it may include chemotherapy or radiation. But yes, dogs do get cancer, but there is treatment. And things that you can do would be to contact your family veterinarian, make sure your pet is staying healthy and getting regular exams so that we can catch it as early as possible, because those have the greatest chance of being treatable.
My dachshund has back problems. Is there a surgery that can fix it, or how can I help him?
So dachshunds. So you might notice dachshunds, or commonly called hot dogs, kind of the dogs that have a long back and short legs. Dachshunds, basset hounds, corgis. These breeds of dogs tend to have an increased risk of what we call intervertebral disc disease. What this means is they are more likely to have slip discs in their back and their spine when they exercise or when they jump. And so this can be a pretty serious condition in these breeds of dogs. And it is treatable with surgery, and in some cases it can be treatable with medical therapy. So you'd have to see your veterinarian right away as soon as it happens, so they can do a thorough exam and try to determine what's the best course of action. But things that you can do to prevent disc disease would be keeping those breeds of dogs really lean. So if you have a dachshund, a corgi, a basset hound, dog that has a long body and short legs, then keep their weight adequate. Make sure that they have a way to get on and off the couch or the bed so that they don't have to jump. Typically, these dogs injure their back when they're having to jump far distances. So you can purchase like stairs or a ramp to help them get on and off the couch or on and off the bed. And those could be things that can help you prevent those injuries.
Speaking of small, short dogs, I have a basset hound. Anything I should look out for?
Yeah, so basset hounds, again, the intervertebral disc disease, they do, although it's adorable, the thing I love the most about basset hound is their ears. So they have these long floppy ears that flow in the wind. One of the issues that can happen with dogs with long floppy ears like basset hounds and cocker spaniels is that they can get ear infections. So because the light and the air isn't getting through those ears, debris and wax and moisture builds up in the ear canals, and they're more likely to have ear infections. So that's something to be aware of with your basset hound or your cocker spaniel. Labrador retrievers and golden retrievers have that as well. And so what you may want to do with dogs that have long floppy ears is make sure that you're cleaning them regularly. Typically, ears are self-cleaning organs, but occasionally, if you think that your pet is having ear infections, it might be a good idea when you're giving them a bath to keep those ears clean and dry so that they don't have moisture buildup in there and they're not prone to ear infections.
Okay. I got a cocker spaniel, and the breeder said they're pretty healthy. Even though they're purebred, is there anything I need to be worried about for cocker spaniels?
Sure. So cocker spaniel's a beautiful, beautiful breed of dog. Again, they tend to be prone to skin and ear infections. So it's not uncommon at all for a cocker spaniel to have chronic ear infections and chronic skin infections, typically related to allergies. And so your family veterinarian can help you stay on top of this because they may have this chronically. And in some cases, to clear up the ear infections, they have to have surgery on their ear canals. And so it can be a pretty significant problem in cocker spaniels, but nothing that your family veterinarian can't help you work through, and they can live a long, healthy, good quality of life.
Another spaniel owner says they have heart disease. When should they start treatment?
Yeah, so some spaniels, particularly like Cavalier King Charles spaniels, can be prone to heart disease. And so this is, again, something that you want to keep on top of with your family veterinarian. What that means is going to the veterinarian twice a year, once a year, so that they can listen to your dog's heart. That's kind of the first step. They can do an ECG, or basically an electrocardiogram, to make sure that the rhythm of the heart is going well. They may even recommend an ultrasound of the heart, or what we call an echocardiogram. These things are going to help to make sure that we catch any heart disease as early as possible. Once your pet is diagnosed with heart disease, your veterinarian can determine whether or not medications are necessary. In all cases, it may not be necessary to start medications right at the beginning. They may wait until your pet shows more serious signs of heart disease, but it's certainly something that can be treated.
Do smaller dogs have less health issues, like terriers or poodles?
So do smaller dogs have less health issues? I think they just have a different set of health issues. For example, a lot of small breed dogs like Chihuahuas and small terriers, they tend to have a different set of joint problems. We talked about hip dysplasia in large dogs, but in small dogs like Chihuahuas and poodles, they tend to have kneecap problems or patella luxations. So if you have a small breed dog and they're running or walking and you notice that they kind of skip when they run or walk, sometimes that can be a sign that they have what we call a luxating patella, or a kneecap that pops in and out of the joint. That's a problem that we see in small breed dogs as well. And certainly they can have other skin problems like allergies. Sometimes they have tearing in the corner of their eyes. And so they have a different set of problems, but not necessarily less.
My Boston Terrier keeps getting cherry eyes. Is it going to be reoccurring, and is it painful for them, or does it hurt?
So a cherry eye. This viewer says that her Boston Terrier is getting a cherry eye. What is that? Well, you may or may not know that dogs and cats have what we call a third eyelid. And that third eyelid is not visible all the time. It sits in the corner of the eye, and it's a mucous membrane. That third eyelid actually has a tear-producing gland in it. Sometimes what happens is that third eyelid gland flips out on itself, kind of like when we flip our upper eyelid and it kind of stays that way. Well, this third eyelid gland pops out and it looks like a little round cherry sitting in the corner of the eye. This can be repaired surgically, but there is a chance that it continues to happen. There's about a 50% chance that it happens again. And so even though it's very treatable, and usually it just sort of looks funny and doesn't cause the dog a lot of problems, sometimes it can be a chronic issue.
My miniature poodle has cloudy eyes. Is that common for them, or does that mean they're blind now?
Cloudy eyes. So as your dog ages, there's a couple of things that can cause cloudy eyes. One of the things is a normal aging change in pets that happens really when they're over about 7 years old. And the lens in the eye becomes cloudy just as a normal aging change. Usually your pet can see very well even with that cloudy change. We call that nuclear sclerosis or lenticular sclerosis. But if the cloudiness in the lens becomes so opaque that it begins to look white. So if your dog has what appears to be a cataract where the lens starts to look white, then that could certainly be affecting their vision. And there's a few causes of that. Sometimes it's old age. Sometimes if your pet is diabetic, that can lead to cataracts. And cataract can affect the vision, but usually the cloudiness that occurs with normal aging does not affect their vision. There's certainly other things that cause cloudy eyes. If you think your pet is having an issue, please take them to the veterinarian so we can diagnose it appropriately.
My golden retriever has arthritis. Does acupuncture help?
Acupuncture is a wonderful alternative type medical therapy. And if your pet is suffering from several different illnesses, but certainly arthritis, acupuncture can be one method to help relieve the pain associated with that. Again, this might be something that you talk about with your veterinarian to determine whether or not acupuncture is going to be the best therapy to begin with, or whether that needs to be combined with more conventional medical therapies.
Are there any breeds that have less medical issues or live longer?
So in general, lifespan is associated with breed and size. So smaller breeds tend to live longer, 15 or 16 years old. Larger breeds tend to have shorter lifespans, more around 7 to 10 years old. So a lot of it has to do with size and aging, genetic aging. But really, most dogs are very, very healthy. Make sure that if you have a purebred dog, you're purchasing a purebred dog, you can also get that dog tested for some of the more common illnesses that the breed carries before you purchase. So if you're purchasing a dog from a breeder, you can always talk to that breeder about certifications of your dog and make sure that they've been certified free and clear of any disease before you make the purchase.
Are there any cat breeds that have specific illnesses?
So sure, cats, there's lots of purebred cats out there, and sometimes they are more prone to disease as well. So brachycephalic cats, we talked about brachycephalic dogs that have kind of a shortened nose there. There are some Persians and Himalayans that are brachycephalic as well. And they are also prone to some respiratory issues. They're prone to eye issues where they have a lot of tearing of the tears, where the tears fall onto the face. And sometimes they are prone to heart disease as well. So certainly your purebred cat can have some health issues. Then we have cats that are hairless, like the Sphinx cat, and those cats can be more prone to diseases like sunburn and just being cold and allergies as well. So certainly if you have a purebred cat, again, make sure that you're taking them to the veterinarian to get them checked out at least once a year so we can catch any diseases early on.
And why are some breeds more susceptible to health issues?
Yeah, some breeds are more susceptible to health issues, largely just because of genes that are passed down generation to generation. So oftentimes when we're breeding dogs, we may be selecting for a certain set of characteristics that are beneficial. And with that set of beneficial characteristics, there may be some characteristics that are less beneficial. And so it's just genetics that gets passed down. Some of it is the environment that the animal lives in that kind of brings out those things. Like I mentioned, some breeds of dogs are more prone to allergies, but certainly if you live in the South where there's a lot of pollen and it's hot, those allergies can be exacerbated, and they may be less serious in northern states where it's cooler and we don't have as much pollen and grass and things. So there's not only genetics, but environment plays a huge part in the health of our pets as well.
And if our viewers have any of these breeds that you mentioned, what is something that they can do? And if they want one of those breeds as well?
Yes, absolutely. The most important thing to do when you're thinking of bringing a pet into your home, particularly a purebred dog, is to educate yourself. So do the research. Try to figure out what it is about this breed that you like. What is it about the breed that you might not like or might be a challenge once you bring them into your family? And then you can make an informed decision about whether that's the right pet for you. Talk to your family veterinarian and make sure that they can help you diagnose conditions, treat conditions that you might find in your pet. You can also talk to pet insurance companies. So there are pet insurance companies that can help to keep your pet protected if he or she gets one of these illnesses. And that's a really good measure that you can take before purchasing a dog, just preparing for, worst case scenario. We hope nothing ever happens, but in the event that it does, you're protected and your pet is protected to get the best care that they can get. Well, we thank you again for joining us here at the Pet Pawcast. Zuko has been having a great time here with us, and he is waiting to come see you here at our adoption center. So again, come on down to visit us. Consider going to HoustonSPCA.org/donate and consider supporting us financially. There's so much that you can do to be a part of our extended family, and that's through financial support. It's through volunteerism. It's through fostering. There's so much that you can do to be a part of our family and help us to save as many animals as possible. We thank you for joining us. We love to have you as part of our family, and we will see you next week.